A new problem for Apple in France, a huge fine for Facebook in Europe, and a pathetic attempt to ban TikTok in Montana. This is Mac Voices. This edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by the MacVoices Slack, available to all patrons of Mac Voices. Sign up today at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. This Mac Voices Live panel wraps up with a conversation about a new problem for Apple in France, a huge fine coming out of Europe for Facebook that starts with a B, and the sad state of affairs for a TikTok ban in Montana. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. I want a couple more things I want to make sure we get to. Apple is again facing a legal action from France over planned obsolescence.
Are you kidding me?
No, okay. So
Apple is the most not obsolescence company there is when it comes to iPhone. My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it just felt like, again, so somebody needs some money, so they're going to pick on Apple for something that just feels completely contrived.
It is.
This is absolutely contrived.
It has to be.
Okay, good. Well, then that solves
politicians contriving stuff? No.
Yes.
Yep. Shocked, I say.
I am color me shocked. It's just not heard of, Chuck. It's not heard of.
How dare Apple not allow Ventura on my LC 5200?
Right. Yeah. I mean, seeing the headline and just the whole thing with the investigation, my eyes rolled back so far in my head. I was afraid I was going to need to borrow an eye patch from Guy.
I got a bunch of. The Mac Mommy sent me like 6, so I've got some to spare.
That's really awesome.
It was.
Like, seriously, that's really awesome.
It just
actually this doesn't sound that ridiculous. You guys are reading the story?
Yeah, why do you say that, Jim? Because I felt like it was pretty ridiculous.
Well, they're basically saying, you can't. They're tying the serial numbers of repair parts to the serial number. So, yeah, I've seen this story for a while that, third-party people can no longer do a bunch of repairs because the software won't recognize it once you've done that.
But how is that programmed obsolescence?
Yeah.
Well, that's what so 9to5 Mac has a bad headline writer.
Then there's that.
Okay.
I mean,
bad headline writer. Bad. Yes. Go to your corner.
Well, okay. It says that this was started following a complaint from the Stopped Planned Obsolescence Association.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess that's where they got that headline, but
who's funding that?
And the complaint is specifically
that has nothing to do with the
serial numbers and spare parts.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
And yet we just talked about it on I think the last show that iPhones they hold their value best. They're some of the most used, most handed down. That's where, I feel like some of this stuff is just contrived, that somebody couldn't get something repaired the way they wanted it to by the person they thought they should be able to at a price they thought was reasonable. And so they started to complain. And then somebody took it up.
Okay, can I show you guys something? This right here, this is a 5th generation Apple Watch. The glass, not the screen, the glass broke on it. Started calling around looking for how much it was going to cost me to get it repaired. Couldn't find anything under $200 to get the glass changed out on the Apple Watch. So I bought a refurbed 7th gen for $250. I'm not complaining about it because this electronic device lasted me 3 years. 3 years. And when you look at the overall market of smartwatches that are currently sitting in people's drawers, tablets that they haven't used past 6 months because they can't get it updated, and phones that have to be changed out every 6 months because either manufacturers or cell phone carriers won't allow them to be updated unless it's their version of the update, then the fact that I have a watch that I had to replace after 3 years for a newer one, I don't think is that big of a deal.
Yeah,
I have a phone that lasts for 3 or 4 years running the latest software, regardless of how fast it's going to run the latest software.
Yep.
I'm pretty damn happy with that. So if you don't want to buy Apple because because of your mistake where you've broken something on it out of warranty, then go buy a Pixel or go buy a Galaxy and see how long they last.
2 years.
Yeah. Yep. See if you can get.
Wait, hold on. Soapbox. There it is. Okay, I'm good.
Just to make sure you're positioned properly.
Yeah. Well, I gotta pay attention to those things these days.
Right. There just seems to be so much focus on the right to repair stuff and all that, and Apple has done some things to accommodate some of that. But I have yet to meet anybody that I know of personally, unless it's one of you guys, that has made some of these repairs, that has gone through the process, ordered the box, and cracked their phone or cracked whatever, and gone in and done the repair. And it just Ben?
Well, I have attempted a repair on an older first gen iPhone SE. Having done that, I would much rather the Apple Store take care of it.
Yep. Yeah, I replaced the glass over the camera lenses on an iPhone 10. And just doing that, which is a relatively simple process. But after doing that, I was like, you know what? No, I will not try and do a repair on this type of electronic device ever again. It was such a pain in the ass.
Take care of your stuff.
Yeah.
You don't
drop your iPhone. Don't drop your smartphone.
Yeah.
Case on it.
This isn't like working on an ATX case whatsoever.
No.
This is very specialized, very precise stuff that if you get one thing wrong, you just bricked your phone.
Toss it in the trash.
Yeah. In fact, as far as I can tell on that iPhone, go ahead.
So some French agency is conducting an investigation. Are we saying that French agencies should not be able to conduct investigations?
No.
Nothing's been decided.
No. Nobody said that.
I mean, if they come out and, rule against Apple, then maybe at that point we could discuss whether we agree with that ruling. But all this says is they're looking into it. But, they haven't done anything yet.
Fair point, Jim.
Yep.
Fair point. But it just feels like it's the same old thing over and over and over. And at times from some of the same players or, similar players trying to make similar arguments. And I think that's where we all. Yeah. Speaking of money,
I'll take some.
Yeah, I knew you would. Thank you. Facebook is going to potentially be giving up a few of their shekels.
Billion.
Yes, for sending data back to the U.S. from Europe, when apparently they weren't supposed to be doing this. And this is, I think, if this is not the largest EU fine, if it's not the largest fine ever, it's definitely the largest EU fine that's ever been imposed. Because it does, as David said, it starts with a B.
It just astonishes me how much money Facebook has paid out in all these lawsuits over the years. I benefit from it being in the state of Illinois that they violated my privacy, so I got $200-$300 checks. So I'm not complaining, but it's a constant thing that Meta, Facebook they're doing this stuff and they continue to want to pay it and just okay, that's what we did.
Cost of business for them.
It is. That's basically what it is.
Oh, sorry. My bad. We won't do it again until the next time.
And then they lay off 15,000 employees. I mean.
But Guy, you're right. It seems like that's their mantra. We're sorry. Whoops, we made a mistake. We won't do again until we get caught again. And then we'll pay another several hundred million or billion, and we'll just keep on doing it.
Yep.
Which circles back to our conversation about how much are we all worth at any given moment to any of these vendors.
Let me put it this way. Has any of us ever directly given Meta a dime?
Nope.
Exactly.
I might have bought a few ads here and there, but nothing notable.
No, you're not wrong.
Do it again?
You know,
Should you do it again? Dave?
No. It's not worth it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the EU takes GDPR very seriously. I mean, so much so that I remember for 2 years before GDPR became active. I mean, we knew it was coming in Europe. Like every single WordPress user group event that I went to, there was someone that was doing a presentation on GDPR and what we should do in the United States to account for customers and site visitors from the EU. And I mean, it was a big enough thing that even small-time website designers in the US were taking GDPR very seriously.
Oh yeah, I've talked to many.
And if the small-time players in the US got what this meant for people that are dealing, or where they're dealing with data that's coming from the EU, there's no reason why Facebook couldn't have understood what this meant for them and understood that siphoning all that data out from the EU and storing it in the US was wrong according to the regulations and was going to get them hammered with a fine.
Yep.
And they probably made way more money off of it than the fine.
Yeah,
why they keep doing it.
And Ben, I was listen, it seems somewhat disingenuous that 1 minute we're complaining about a French investigation of Apple, and yet we're rooting on the EU for fining Facebook. So I recognize
there's a difference here.
Well, I agree, Jeff.
The French, yeah, we all know what the differences are. I'll stop.
No, but I mean, I agree, that this isn't a case of us being Apple fanboys. But I do have to wonder at times, when will the fines, at what level do they have to get big enough for Facebook or Microsoft or Google or even Apple to take, and I have Apple at the bottom of the list because they really don't have any significant privacy issues going on. The right to repair things is a whole nother matter. But when it comes to some of this stuff, what fine is going to have to be imposed to make somebody sit up and take notice and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this?
Well, based on the GDPR fines, if I'm remembering correctly, after something like this for Facebook, then it turns into a thing where if the violations are shown to continue, then they start getting hit with fines that are a percentage of their global revenue. And then at that point, even Facebook would have to start paying attention, because at that point for Facebook, we're talking real money.
Which, for a data broker like Facebook or Google, you have to wonder if it gets to the point where they have to rethink doing business in the EU.
No, they won't. They won't stop doing that.
They'll just try harder not
Too
to
many
get caught.
people. Too many. Yeah, they'll just try not to get caught again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just do more of it so that they can pay them some money.
Oh, I laugh only because
it hurts.
now I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
Facebook. That's Facebook.
Oh, our world is so screwed up.
Yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, we're saying that, but they've kind of earned their reputation.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'd like to believe, and there are a lot of good people that work at Facebook.
Yeah,
but I have to believe. Well, yeah, thanks, Guy. But I have to believe that at some point, you know, somebody's got to raise their hand and say, "Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense."
Those will be the people that get laid off in the next round.
yes.
Good point. Hey, TikTok is trying to be banned in Montana.
Oh my God! Don't.
I don't think that's quite the correct way to word that.
It probably isn't, but you get the point. Does anybody? I mean, this to me highlighted what's wrong with legislators in our country, because if they're trying to do it, okay, maybe they're trying to do it for the right reasons, but they clearly don't understand how things work.
There's no way this is not getting overturned at an appellate court.
No.
I don't see how you could even enforce this.
They have a governor that punched a journalist right before he was elected to Congress.
Probably why he got elected to Congress.
It was only like the night before, so I think it was already.
Yeah, and look, for our listeners in Montana, we have the absolute respect for you, but this could be anybody from New York to Florida to California to Arizona. You know, that well-meaning, maybe well-intentioned legislators just they aren't doing the homework, or they're not having their staffs do the homework to say, look, this is not going to do any good. It's political grandstanding at best.
All of them.
Yeah. Where did you go from well-intentioned to political grandstanding?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing well-intentioned about it. This is purely political grandstanding. They don't give a crap whether it gets overturned. It's just, you know,
they got their
basically they're doing it for likes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And it also makes for a nice test run. See what sort of reaction you get and what response you get to passing the legislation, and then future legislation that falls in the same general category, but may not be focused on TikTok. Now you have a better idea of how to craft that so that you have a higher likelihood of achieving whatever your end goal is. And
make it veto proof.
Yeah. And yeah, and Jim, you're right. This is a political move. This is political theater.
Yeah.
This is the end goal. There's no goal beyond this.
Yeah, this is just
they're going to use it for fundraising and to, you know, try to get up the next rung in the political field. That's all it is.
And it's an easy visibility thing because there's ultimately no risk for the politicians that are going to benefit from this. You know,
next thing you know, some governor will be going after Disney. I mean, that'll never happen.
That's crazy talk right there.
Meanwhile, TikTok's suing Montana. So,
yeah. Well, I mean that. To be perfectly honest, that move should have been expected,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody who has any concept of the law would be able to realize this is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. So they were basically, these politicians were able to say, we did it, but hey, our hands are tied.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I meant by well-intentioned is that TikTok is getting, and there's some objective information out there, objective evidence that it is detrimental to a lot of younger people and people with certain predilections that, they become obsessive over. So, I can see somebody trying to say, we got to do something. And okay, so they did something. It's kind of sad that it's just so poorly implemented and not realistic.
There's an awful lot of evidence that soda is bad for you, or alcohol, or guns.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are organizations out there trying to do things about that too. So
let's start with TikTok.
And Chuck, the studies that have been done, the research, whatever it is that's saying, oh yeah, look, here's these bad things that come along with TikTok, and it's designed so that it gives you that dopamine hit, and it's addictive, and it just draws you in. That's not a TikTok thing. They're just using TikTok as a scapegoat in this case. YouTube is the grand master of doing this. Mm-hmm. And why are they not looking at YouTube? And the answer is because that's actually not the thing they're going after. They're saying China, China, and granted, there are a lot of problems with China, but they didn't go after the thing that would actually make sense in this case, because it's not the point of the legislation.
Yeah. And the other thing, whether social media is bad for you is completely immaterial. This is about the legality of this ban.
Yes.
Isn't that dopamine addictive thing what we're going for here?
Yeah.
If you went down that road, you could say that smartphones are bad for us, or that anything that people are obsessing over and using above and beyond an intended purpose would be bad for you. How many people do you see on subways and planes and airports and anywhere in the public, and their eyes are just glued to their phone, and it doesn't matter what's going on around them. They're not paying attention to anything else.
Earlier time versions of us had the same conversation about people at subways and bus stations and at the rail stations, all sitting there with a glazed look on their eyes, holding a newspaper in front of their face.
And then it was the Game Boy.
Yeah, if you go and do a Google search, you can find old news articles about the people complaining about the same type of issues that we're talking about here for whatever the media was, and they are out there for the newspapers, and it's just funny to read them because you could just do find and replace from those articles and put in whatever the current technology or thing is, and it reads like it's from today.
Yeah. Our kids need to be protected from Chuck Berry.
Okay, that's fair.
That's that. Well, that or TV in the 70s. that, oh my God, it's going to rot our kids' brains. They're going to do nothing but sit in front of the tube.
Well, that was
radio
true, right?
before that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in front of your TV, rotting your brain.
By the way, y'all get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Oh, guys, we went places I never expected us to go, but that just is sort of the way this crew works. There's one more article, but I'm going to save it for next week because it deserves a whole lot of discussion. So, folks, that's my teaser. You're going to have to stick around and come back next Tuesday to hear this intense discussion. Very important. Barry in the chat room says Monty Python ruined me. Yeah, good. Oh, and Brian
Barry,
says,
bring me a shrubbery.
Yep. We are the knights who say me.
Yeah. All right, before we get into too many
knights that formerly said knee.
we're going to get a lot of bad.
There's your road.
Just saw Spam-A-Lot last weekend. I'm sorry, it was just...
I love Spam-A-Lot.
After Dark is going to be a lot of bad Monty Python impressions, I have a feeling. Let's go around here and find out who all these weird people are, and then we'll get out. So I'm going to flip it around and give it to Mr. Guy Searle, since he was the last one in. We'll make him the first one out. Guy,
hey,
great to have you.
A lot of people will agree with you on that. You can find me every single week, almost every single week, over on the mymac.com podcast. Been doing that for over 12, 13 years now with Gazmaz. There's Guy's Daily Drive, which I've kind of started back up again now that I'm driving again. And of course, now the added benefit is more danger involved because my attention is even more diverted. Yay! There's also vertshark.com, which I have finally put something back up there after a break of about 5 months. And let's see, Twitter and Mastodon and Counter Social. I am Mac Parrot, and I am also VertShark over there on the Twitters. And I guess that's about it. Yay!
Great. Good to have you back, Guy. We missed you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here as always. And we will look forward to continuing to see you from this location and from a new location sometime soon.
Yes. Well, first, thank you. It's always great to be here. And yes, at some point in June, don't know exactly when, depends on logistics for moving stuff around, you will see me with the new background. You'll know it when you see it. Yay, moving. Anyhow.
Yeah,
so,
but I think you should take a picture of the background right now.
And then just green screen it behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's not like anybody would use a machine learning background.
Right, that would never happen. Everyone, Ben's background, that's actually the studio that's in his place.
Yes, I spent like $4 million on it just so I could do podcasts where I'm not paid.
Right.
Have a cat fade in and out over your shoulder.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that cat, that's actually a stunt actor.
Stunt.
Yep.
Hologram.
Yeah, he is actually a familiar, so he has special witch powers.
This makes sense. I lost track. Did I say anything about where to find me?
I don't think so. No, you were just winding up.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Somehow Chuck lets me here on Tuesdays. Dave, some reason, keeps letting me on In Touch with iOS on Thursdays. I don't know. I don't get it, but thanks for letting me on. Then Thursdays, I'm your interim host on The Big Show on the British Tech Network. And then again on Fridays for the Mac Show. And then Brian Chaffin and I record the Context Machine together. Usually ends up being Fridays, it turns out. And then other shows along the way. And then social media, Jay Gamet on basically everything. But where you'll find me active is Mastodon and Instagram.
Nicely done. Nicely done. We'll look forward to whatever the new background looks like.
Oh, yeah. You'll know about the same time I do what it is.
Yeah.
Shoulders up. Please, Jeff.
Yeah. In fact, there might even be boxes in one of the new backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the funny thing is, when I moved in,
boxes of underpants.
Yeah.
Right. There won't be any pants, just underpants. When I moved into this space, what I did was I set up everything that's in camera shot so that it looked like I had my place all set and ready to go. And just out of camera shot, it was a wall of boxes. The living room over there was a sea of boxes, but camera shot totally looked legit.
You know your priorities.
Yeah. Yep. Set up the studio space and then worry about where you're going to eat and sleep.
Yep.
Ben, I didn't realize that was your studio. I thought that was like the bridge of your starship.
Multitasking, Chuck, multitasking.
Ah, okay. Got it. You had to get a tax write-off somehow, right?
Exactly. I'm like the Warner Brothers Discovery of podcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me at Ben Rathig on social media. I'm on pretty much all of them except for that newfangled Blue Sky thing, which I can't bribe to get in.
Yep.
You can find me on my opinion site, rathig.tech, where I stir up trouble, usually about Apple. You can also find me, obviously here, most Tuesdays when I'm not sick. Thursdays, this week, Friday, on In Touch with iOS with that Dave Ginsburg guy. I think we might have heard of him.
Ooh.
Yep. And Thursday and Fridays on the British Tech Network, where I bring a very American flair to the British Tech Network, which doesn't have any Brits.
Yeah. Honestly, we love you there because you bring the American accent, and all of our EU and UK friends just find it dreamy.
Somewhere there's an American Tech Network show that just has Brits and nobody else.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say there's a
website.
My brain is now.
Yeah.
Everything's made for that because it was a April Fool's Day joke.
Jim Ray, I think you better get that tie off. You're starting to look like you're having trouble breathing.
I don't know. I think he looks really dapper.
Couple minutes.
It looks like like a muffler. It looks like he's cold or something.
I don't know. He looks really formal. Looks really sharp. You rock that tie, Jim.
I remembered how to tie it.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Proper gentleman right there.
Although it's good that you can't see below there. It didn't line up. It didn't line.
It's up to here, right?
Makes you think I bought it.
Super wide.
Oh no! It's not that. It's just the links aren't. I just I didn't even use it. I just tied it. As I was walking back here and not even in a mirror. So, see,
that's how good Jim is. He doesn't even need to have a mirror to do his tie.
It's a regular. The length is okay.
Okay, so next time,
the width is okay.
Everybody bring a tie, and we'll have a tying contest. Ben's getting starting early. So, while Ben is tying his tie, Jim, where can folks find you?
You can find me at provue.com, PROVUE.com, and also on the Fediverse at ProVueJim at techhub.social. And Guy, you said you were on Mastodon, but you didn't mention what instance.
Oh, just look for MacParrot. I'll turn up almost anywhere.
Well, no, you gotta.
I don't. I really don't. Just look for MacParrot, and if you can't find me, then you can't find me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have it in the show notes, Jim. Don't worry. You'll find him. You'll find him.
I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up.
I thought it was I'm like a tuber vegetable. I always turn up.
So you signed up for every instance on Mastodon?
Of course I did.
A lot of the instances can cross search. So it's not as critical as it was a couple of years ago to know exactly which instance someone's on.
Yeah. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what instance I'm on. No idea.
Mastodon error record not found. Oh well.
Well, we'll do some research and find out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
where am I? I don't know where I am.
Ben has abandoned his tying. Were you going for a half Windsor or a full Windsor?
Whatever I found on the interwebs back in the day.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. David Ginsburg, thank you for being here. I don't know. This is getting weirder every week.
It is.
Where can folks find you?
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And you can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. And said we'll be recording Friday just so we could have Patrice on the show. It's been too long. You can find me on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I am on the Mac Show on Fridays, and I'm also on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud. There you go, Jim. And you also can find me on Twitter, DaveG65. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Folks, this is Mac Voices Live. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We are in the chat room at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. You should be too. The crew has been, they kind of went through spurts. They were silent for a while, then they threw in some wisdom, then they threw in some abuse, then they went silent again. So, but it's always a good time. Thank you guys for being in the chat room. We will see you next Tuesday when we will have a big first out of the gate article. And the hint is that it involves someone on this panel.
Oh God, what I do now.
Oh my God.
Until next week, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching.
Can read it now.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.